Throwaway account for reasons that will become obvious. My wife's relatives treat Reddit like binoculars pressed to every window, and I'm not giving them front row seats. All names changed, but if you could still smell the Merlot ghosting my hallway carpet, you'd know every word is true. I'm Matt, 34, first in my family to finish college, but definitely not the first to learn how little that matters to people who worship price tags. I run a modest, yet growing IT support firm. My wife Jenna, 32, teaches third graders and paints watercolors at night. We own a 2-bed bungalow, a golden retriever with a talent for eating socks, and exactly 0 designer anything. Our biggest splurge last year was a Dyson vacuum, because we were tired of pretending the dog hair was modern art. Enter Emily, Jenna's younger sister. She's 30, but struts like a Disney Channel heiress, sparkle first, substance pending. She married Jonathan, a 40-something investment banker whose job seems to convert other people's anxiety into bonus checks. Their wedding registry actually included a Porsche lease fund. Enough said. Emily treated family dinners like competitive theater. She'd pivot any topic into jabs about class. When I showed up carrying extra folding chairs for Thanksgiving, she quipped, "Matt, you really do embrace folding solutions in every sense." Everyone laughed. Jenna squeezed my knee under the table but couldn't erase the sting. At Easter brunch, she handed Jenna a floral dress she'd outgrown emotionally and remarked, "Check the price tag. It's higher than your mortgage, but maybe it'll give you a taste of luxury." She omitted that the dress was dry clean only and already stained under one arm. For 6 years, I played polite defense. Sip whatever drink was closest, count ceiling tiles, promise myself I'd get even when the time was right. Revenge, I decided, is a dish best served legally enforceable. Then karma clocked in. Last September, Jonathan forwarded Emily an email from his lawyer. 26 pages of prenup activation. She kept her leased Range Rover, payments due next week, plus a townhouse they'd barely furnished because decorating is exhausting. No alimony, no liquid assets, not even the engagement ring, which he reclaimed as a family heirloom. Emily became asset-rich and cash-poor overnight. The collapse surfaced at 2:08 a.m. on a Tuesday. Jenna and I were asleep when my phone buzzed. 6 missed calls, 4 texts, all Emily. We assumed someone was in the hospital. The emergency was her lifestyle on life support. She needed $20,000 by Friday for a divorce attorney who doesn't work out of a strip mall office. Jonathan had told her to try legal aid and blocked her number. Jenna, ever the peacemaker, suggested inviting Emily for dinner. I agreed, partly to gauge her desperation. I grilled chicken thighs, roasted asparagus, set out our nicest plates. Jenna wore her favorite ivory wrap dress, the one Emily once dubbed Poshmark chic. Emily arrived 45 minutes late wearing a black cocktail dress, chosen to signal she was still the star even if the green room had burned down. She brought a bottle of Brunello worth more than our weekly groceries. She performed heartbreak like daytime TV, trembling lip, damp lashes, betrayal monologue. Finally, she slid her manicured hand across the table and asked if I could loan her 20 grand just until the settlement, with generous interest. She didn't specify the rate. I said we'd discuss terms after dinner. Emily raised her glass to toast, family sticking together, then tilted it too far. The entire contents cascaded down Jenna's shoulder, blooming across ivory fabric like a crime scene spatter. Emily gasped an octave too high, bit her lip, then offered a napkin as effective as a Band-Aid on a geyser. Jenna hurried off, wounded pride trailing crimson. Inside my head, something clicked. No more ceiling tiles, no more polite smiles. While Jenna attempted triage, I opened my laptop. Years of Emily's barbs lived in a folder. I dragged screenshots into a new document titled Loan Agreement, Emily. Boilerplate from my company's delinquent client contracts supplied skeleton clauses, principal $20,000, interest 10% per month, $500 late fee, payment due the first business day monthly, collateral, temporary management rights to Emily's townhouse, renewable 30-day blocks until the balance plus penalties cleared. I added language confirming she sought the loan voluntarily, without coercion. I printed 2 copies, slid them into a manila folder, and rejoined the table. Jenna had changed into leggings and a hoodie. Emily promised to pay for cleaning. I placed the folder between salt and pepper shakers. "Let's formalize," I said. Emily scanned perhaps 3 sentences, laughed that I'd become such a businessman, and initialed every page. I initiated the transfer from my business savings while she finished dessert. No ambiguity. Month 1, she hawked a vintage Chanel clutch and made the minimum. Month 2, silence. On the 4th business day, I emailed a reminder. She replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Day 5, I filed default paperwork at the county clerk. She learned what that meant when a certified envelope arrived. Her entrance into my office could have scored an Emmy. Mascara streaks, hair wild accusations. She called the contract predatory. I reminded her she'd proposed generous interest and enjoyed a 3-day rescission window. She shredded a brochure, threatened to ruin me online, then broke when I projected dinner table security footage showing the wine accident. She deflated and left. Management rights weren't instant. Court confirmation, lock changes, and a 30-day personal item window came first. Emily retaliated by stripping fixtures, cabinet handles, light bulbs, even the Wi-Fi router. The contract valued removed fixtures at triple replacement cost. My lawyer added $6,000 to her ledger. Legal fees also compounded. I hadn't planned on Airbnb, but math seduced me. Comparable units fetched $200 nightly. We spent weekends repainting icy gray walls to warm white, removed gold foil quote decals, manifest your best life, and staged rooms with Jenna's art. Our first guests, a foodie couple from Oregon, raved online. Bookings spiked. Half of net income per the contract slugged Emily's balance, but after expenses I defined, principal slid like molasses. Emily filed an HOA complaint claiming short-term rentals were banned. Bylaws merely required board approval. I attended the meeting, offered free Wi-Fi assessments, supplied donuts, and walked away with a variance plus 3 new IT clients. Her gambit backfired beautifully. Thanksgiving at Jenna's parents' is obligatory unless you're giving birth. Emily arrived last, wearing a clearance rack dress and clutching grocery store cupcakes. Rumor said I'd stolen her house. Great Aunt Louise asked if it was true. I calmly explained the contract, default, rental terms, and offered documentation. Jenna added, "Emily, you still owe me for the dress." The silence was gravy thick. Emily later tried bartering designer clothes, hollow apologies, even a social media collaboration. I replied, "See Section 4, subsection B." Desperation pushed her to beg her parents, until I showed them screenshots where she'd mocked them too. Funds evaporated. Flashback for context, the internet always wants. 2 summers back, we hosted a backyard barbecue budgeted via meat coupons. Emily arrived in a rented Maserati, demanded somewhere for her Hermes shawl so it wouldn't absorb fryer smell. We don't own a deep fryer. and presented a 3-wick candle labeled Bougie as the hostess gift. That candle now sits on the mantle of the Airbnb and earns 5-star mentions. Emily's mockery reached Jenna too. When Jenna sold her first painting for $200, Emily congratulated her on finding a side hustle to help Matt keep the lights on. Jenna almost quit painting that night. I swore 2 things: the lights would stay on, and one day Emily's words would fuel something valuable. Preparing the contract was simpler than Reddit armchair lawyers predict. My IT firm had emergency equipment loan documents, cross-checked state usury caps, added an amortization table, booked an hour with Nate, my attorney friend, payment owed in future computer fixes. He suggested a confession of judgment clause. I skipped it as overkill for family. Hindsight, mercy unearned. Renovating the townhouse felt like erasing Emily's signature 1 paint stroke at a time. Beneath each peeled decal, we found bubbled paint requiring sanding. Jenna laughed while patching scars, joking the walls were detoxing from narcissism. Revenge sometimes smells like fresh latex. Emily's sabotage continued. She complained again to HOA about parking. Nate sent the board time-stamped photos proving compliance. Complaint dismissed. She filed a police report alleging I stole her mail, actually held by the post office per forwarding request. Case closed within a day. My parents are old-school Midwestern, family over money. Mom gasped at the interest rate until I walked her through 6 years of insults, the wine incident, and fixture theft. Dad simply said, "About time you stood up for yourself." Behind the scenes, guilt prowled. I could forgive the debt and still live comfortably. But every time I wavered, I pictured Jenna in the stained dress, trying not to cry. Revenge wasn't about dollars. It was about equilibrium. Emily once posted, "If you're not at the table, you're on the menu." She thought it meant hustle. Turns out you end up on the menu when you season yourself with arrogance and serve medium rare to the wrong diner. Nate loved that analogy. Christmas Eve crackled with tension. I wrapped a photo album. Each page paired Emily's past insults with glowing Airbnb reviews. The final page displayed her balance, interest compounding. She opened it, face draining white. She begged for mercy. I unveiled a settlement. Debt wiped in exchange for permanent title transfer and a no-contact clause except via counsel. A mobile notary waited in the driveway. Emily calculated and signed. Ownership transferred within 48 hours. Electronic filing is magic. Emily emailed claiming duress. Nate replied with a calm signing video. Her lawyer threatened emotional distress litigation. Nate requested itemized damages and noted discovery would expose messages mocking our poverty. Silence. We deep cleaned, changed locks, and found a shoebox of unpaid parking tickets. I mailed it to her studio apartment with a sticky note. Some bills can't be defaulted on. Postage courtesy of Airbnb proceeds. 3 months later, the HOA held a community yard sale. We sold Emily's abandoned trinkets, monogrammed napkin rings, untouched fondue set, decorative birdcage. Proceeds bought art supplies for Jenna's classroom. Kids now paint with brushes funded by Emily's napkin rings. A travel blogger eventually ranked our Airbnb a top hidden gem, pushing bookings 6 months out. The ROI flipped green. Jenna and I toasted with a perfectly decent Moscato. Equity from the townhouse demolished our own mortgage. We adopted a second golden retriever because the first needed a protege in sock theft. Emily now hands rental car keys to tourists at the airport, while those same tourists often check into the Airbnb she once owned. Poetic symmetry tastes sweeter than revenge ice cream. I framed Jenna's ruined wrap dress and hung it between the home office and guest bath. Visitors call it modern art. Jenna replies it's the most expensive piece we own. They laugh, unaware the real cost was arrogance paid in full. I'll end with advice readers might need. Document everything. Separate emotion from negotiation. And never underestimate how arrogant people talk themselves onto a hook. They always volunteer more rope than you could ever gather.